On this episode, we are breaking down the Disney dining plans and discuss if it is worth it or not. Today is June 16th, 2023. This is episode 574 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey, guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. If you've not done so already, head out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Since we are talking all about dining, and reservations are a must to get your favorite Disney World or Disneyland dining reservations, Mouse Dining is going to remove that frustration of booking your Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. And yes, this really does work. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service.
Yeah, so on today's episode, we are going to talk about the Disney dining plan. It is back since pre-COVID. It's back January 9th, 2024 or after.
Yeah, and so you can start booking the dining package now, but for trips that begin January 9th, 2024. You go ahead and go to mainstmagictravel.com. Of course, you can fill out a form for a free quote. Either Chuck or Amy will give you all the information, give you all the pricing, and then hopefully after this episode, you'll decide if it is worth it to you or not. Now, Rhonda, who is eligible and allowed to buy the Disney dining plan?
Well, only people with travel packages, which is Disney-owned resorts, annual pass holders, and DVC. Except for DVC members, a 3-night minimum stay is typically also required. So
take that in mind, because Ron and I were talking about it this morning because we really want to try out the dining plan. It's been a hot minute since we've done it. I mean, probably a decade. I know Lacey was under 3, so
yes.
It's definitely been a decade since we've done it. But we would have to book a 3-night minimum stay as pass holders. So
right.
We're going to take a look at that, though, sometime in the future. Not eligible, and there's a reason Rhonda said Disney-owned resorts, not eligible or obviously anything off property.
Right.
But as well as the Swan, the Dolphin, the Swan Reserve, the Disney Springs Resort area, the Four Seasons that's right there, and of course across from Poly is Shades of Green. None of those are eligible for the Disney dining plan.
Okay.
Now, a couple little notes or disclaimers. And a lot of this is common knowledge, but maybe not all of it. Everyone staying in that room has to get the dining plan.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean exactly, Rhonda?
Well, everyone that is technically, I guess, on your Disney experience.
Yeah.
I guess if you have somebody in the room that's not on and they're not going into parks or anything, I guess that's I guess that works.
Yeah, I mean, technically it's just yeah, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, you're supposed to list everybody in your room for occupancy and things like that and cost and all. So yeah, it's not like we could say, hey, we're going for a weekend. Ron and I are going to go into the park some and eat, but the girls are going to come and they're just going to hang out at the resort. We would have to get them the dining package as well. We couldn't buy it for just Rhonda and I. Mm-hmm. So just something to note as you're looking at this, especially as we start to break things down, and you might go, well, you know what? I got one person in my party that this isn't a very good deal for, so we're just not going to include them. Well, too bad. You have to.
Yeah.
So children ages 3 to 9 must order from the kids menu. So if you have a 9-year-old that loves ordering full adult meals, they've got to order from the kids menu when one is available. This can be breakfast, lunch, or dinner that these credits can be used for. And it expires at midnight on the day you check out. So we're going to use 5-day trips for an example here a lot. Or I should say 5-night trips, because you get the credits per night, not per day. Because technically, a 5-night trip can equal 6 days.
Correct.
Right? You have your check-in day and your check-out day. Well, if the first 5 nights and days that you're there, you use all your credits on your checkout day. If you're going into parks, you want to eat, whatever, your credits are gone. Mm-hmm. So just remember that. Cannot be added to discounted room-only reservations. What this means is Rhonda and I, as pass holders, decide we want to do the Disney dining plan. Guess what? There's an awesome pass holder rate. Too bad. You have to pay rack rate in order to add the dining plan.
Wow.
So if you thought, I'm going to double up on savings, I'm going to get 30% off the room, plus I'm going to get a dining plan. Nope. You're paying full price if you want to add the dining plan.
Okay.
So like I can tell you right now, when we look at doing it, we'll probably just say we're staying at like an all-star and just go for the cheapest thing possible.
Wow.
Now tax is included in the dining plan, but tip is not. So please remember that when you're doing table service meals, you still need to tip your cast members.
Mm-hmm.
And then dining plans can be added to your vacation package at any time prior to check-in. They just can't be added once you've checked into your room. So you book your trip now through Chuck or Amy, and you don't do the dining plan, and you got it for February of 2024. And around November, you're like, I think we do want to do the dining plan. Hit them up. They can add it to your package.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't arrive on your day, check into your room, and go, you know what? I think I'd like to add it now.
Right.
Won't be able to do it, or during your trip, halfway through, go, you know what? It'd be good for the rest of it. All right. Rhonda, how much is the 2024 Disney dining plan? There's two, quick service plan and the Disney dining plan. So get used to that terminology. Let's talk quick service plan first. How much is this costing you? And this is per day or per night. I keep saying that.
Per night.
Per night.
So it's $57.01 for your adults, which ages 10 and up, and that would be considered your children that are.
And we're going to discuss this part about it when we get into the details, because this is aggravating.
Yeah. And then $23.83 for your children ages 3 to 9.
Yeah.
And then your Disney dining plan is $94.29 for your adults, and of course children 10 and up. And then $29.69 for children 3 to 9. And your children that are younger than 3 can eat free, but off the adult's plate.
Yeah. So if we actually look back at the latest 2020 prices before this went away, quick service plan, and there were more back then, but the most comparable one, the quick service plan, adult was $55. So that only went up $2. And child was $26. So that actually went down a little bit, shockingly. Now, the Disney dining plan, comparable to 2020 prices, adult was $78, so that skyrocketed up to $94.
Wow.
Child was $30, so that actually went down $1.
Okay.
So you'll probably never hear us ever again talk about Disney or Universal or life in general and say that in 4 years' time something went down in price. So
True.
savor that moment. Do 30 seconds, skip back, and just listen to it again just to feel good about yourself. All right, let's talk about what's included. What is included in the quick service plan each night for each person, Rhonda?
1 resort refillable mug. So if you have 4 in your party, you do get 4 mugs.
Yeah.
2 quick service meals, which is 1 entree or combo, 1 beverage, and alcohol is included for those of you who drink. 1 snack or non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, so when we start to break it down, the alcohol being included is going to become key. And I'll just run through the Disney dining plan real quick and what's included there. 1 resort refillable mug, 1 quick service meal, so that's the entree or combo, a beverage, alcohol included, 1 table service meal, which includes either an entree or if it's a buffet or family style, 1 dessert, except at breakfast, and 1 beverage with alcohol included. And then you get your 1 snack or non-alcoholic beverage a day. So for adults 21 and over on this plan, well, on either plan, you're getting 2 alcoholic beverages per day.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I just think is so frustrating. I know that Disney says, all right, you're an adult considered when you're 10 and up. That's how they do pricing.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so wrong here because kids can't drink. And in the past, you've never been able to say, here's my 15-year-old child. She has a credit for an alcoholic beverage. Just give it to me. They won't do it. They never have in the past.
Really?
So you've already sucked all that value out of a 15-year-old's plan.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the same when we've talked about, and we'll mention Hoop-de-Doo later. It's one of our ones we're going to look at the cost for. Your parents don't drink. Rachel doesn't drink.
Right.
It's too bad that there can't be a separate value. But it's the same with the kids. If we take Kaylin and Lacey to Hoop-de-Doo Review, we're paying the adult price, which includes unlimited beer and wine, which they cannot partake in.
Correct.
So just one of those things to think about. Now,
before, Disney, listen and fix it.
Yeah, and fix it. Find something. Or even if they gave you some sort of like credit back. They said, all right, your kid is 15. They can't drink. I understand that. That's part of the value of this deal. We're going to actually give you a $10 credit back for anyone in your party that's aged 10 to 20 per night. You're staying for 5 nights. We're going to give you a $25 or a $50 or whatever credit back. Even if it's in the form of a digital gift card or something. Just, they need to change that barrier for something like this.
Yes.
All right. In the past, you do have 2 credit meals. Basically, credits roll over. So you could technically be there for 5 days, never use a credit, and on your last night, decide you're going to do a bunch of signature dining that day. You know what I mean? Or you were going to eat 6 meals or whatever it is. Like, they roll over. Those just expire at midnight on your checkout day. So you could basically, it'd be almost like borrowing points at DVC. You can say, we're going to do one of these 2 credit meals. We arrive on Monday. We're not going to use our credit that day. On Tuesday, we're going to go to a signature or a fine dining show, and that's when you use your 2 credits. Rhonda, why don't you let them know what are the 2 credit meals?
Quite a few, actually.
Yeah, and a couple have been added.
You got Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, Cinderella's Royal Table, Be Our Guest, Akershus Banquet Hall, Lunch or Dinner.
And that used to be a 1 credit. So that one's been added now. Yeah.
Storybrooke Dining at Artist Point, Tiffin, Citrico's, Flying Fish, Hollywood Brown Derby, Haleo, Chico, Le Cellier, Morimoto, Narcoosse's, Paddlefish, Topolina's Terrace, and Yachtsman's Steakhouse.
And all of these make sense from Disney's perspective, because otherwise they're losing money and people would come and all they would eat is signature dining and do shows. You know what I mean? And Disney would lose a lot of money. So it makes sense that they're on here. Does it make sense for you to utilize it? We'll find out. All right. We talked about that 1 snack per day, right? Snack or non-alcoholic beverage. Touring Plans puts a snack average at about $6. When we get into our numbers, we do it a little bit lower, but you can imagine something between probably $4 to $7 is going to be your average. That's your frozen ice cream, novelties, ice pops, things like that, a popcorn, 12-ounce coffee, hot chocolate tea, milk or juice, a piece of whole fruit. I don't recommend you waste your money on a couple of these.
Yeah.
Mickey bars, popcorn, a bag of snacks makes sense. You can get the 20-ounce bottles of soda, fountain soft drink. What we don't know yet is if we would assume, because a lot of times they still listing DDP when they do the menus for the festivals, you used to always be able to use a snack credit at festival booths.
Right.
So we're assuming that will still be a thing, but you also used to be able to trade in a quick service credit for 3 snack credits to be used at the festivals. We do not have clarification on if that is going to be available or not. Of course, we'll let you know once we find out. So we do have a couple variables, though, that right from the beginning may make the decision whether you want to keep diving into this. I'm not saying turn off the podcast if you don't, or you don't. What are some of the variables? And we have a list of stuff, but we can kind of just talk about it. Like, let's use our family, for example. We decided to take the girls back next year. We're going to go for 3 nights. We hit that minimum. We can't do a package because we're pass holders. And with tickets, you have to put tickets on everybody's name in the room. We don't need them. So we'd have to buy the girls tickets separately.
Okay.
We'd have to then book a rack rate room for the 4 of us and then add the dining plan.
Correct.
What kind of variables are we looking at with our family, for instance, that other families may look at? Like, what are the things that you need to look at first to see if it's even worth exploring, do you think?
Well, I mean, you see how many are in your party, which for us is 4, but it's 4 adults.
Right.
There's no children.
Right. Look at, I mean, shoot, think about Russ and Claire across the street. If they take everyone, they're at potentially 7 or 8 people.
And they're all adults because
all of them
Autumn,
but one are adults.
Oh, that's right. Autumn's.
Yeah.
So, she's 6.
I mean, that's price-wise, you just have to look at.
Yeah.
What are some other things that you really need to take into consideration?
One is actually how many meals do you and your family do per day? Sometimes, well, when I'm at work, I eat 1 time usually a day.
Yeah. But for our family, we're going to go and we're going to usually, because this is going to also come down to you normally split meals. Here would be a day in the life of our family at Disney. We're going to wake up. Girls are probably going to eat some sort of just snack, Pop-Tart, cinnamon roll, whatever breakfast thing they have.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have coffee. We don't eat breakfast normally.
Correct.
We're probably maybe going to have either a bigger lunch planned or a bigger dinner planned.
Mm-hmm.
But around that, you and I are pretty much just going to snack, and the girls might split something. So these plans are basically, they're making you, in a sense, say you need to drink at least an entire soda out of that refillable mug a day, right?
Yeah.
You need to eat one full quick service meal per day. You need to eat one full table service meal per day, or you go back and do 2 quick service meals if you have that plan. And
Right.
you need to make sure you get a snack or a non-alcoholic beverage. For us to do that several days in a row is not very likely.
Mm-hmm.
If
It's
you,
a lot to eat.
yeah, it is. And if you are a family that normally splits meals, you're a family of 4, you sit down, mom and dad usually split an entree and a dessert. Kids maybe either each order their own kids meal, even if they're considered adults. You don't want to do that. You want to order an adult meal.
Right.
But then they split it. So you're like, all right, now we have to sit down and get 4 full meals, 4 full desserts,
Right.
which your family might not normally do.
Right. Or if you have adults like Kaylin and Lacey, and they like Lacey doesn't want anything off the adult menu, can she still order off the kid menu?
She can, but your value, your value
Right.
is the problem, because you've paid for an adult meal
Right.
and you're getting a kid's meal.
Okay.
So, but yes, you could. You just can't work up. You can't have a 9-year-old order off the adult meal, but you could have a 15-year-old
right.
order
But
off
then
the
if you
kid's
have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old and you get 2 kids meals, and that 9-year-old was hungry,
Yeah.
and is able to
they're
finish
not making,
eating the
they're not
4-year-old.
like, they're
So
not
that's
hovering
good.
over you going, no, you eat the meal that
I
you
know.
ordered.
But I mean, I'm just saying.
And here is the cool thing about credits is that they're technically transferable.
What do you mean?
So, for example, you could get to your last night or your last day on checkout and you've got extra credits you can't use, and you decide to go to Hollywood Studios, sprinkle a little pixie dust on another family. You could use your credits to pay for their meals.
Oh, okay.
So you could look at being a little bit, that might be one where you're looking at rolling some credits over and then using them for other people, or using them for your kid. And then, so that's where you just break out the calculator and start looking at everything. A lot depends on what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a steak and lobster person, or are you going to get a burger every single place you go,
Right.
which tends to be on the lower price list,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
What is probably one of the biggest ones, especially now with what's included, that matters a lot?
Are you a drinker? Alcohol?
Yeah.
So if you're not, then it's sad because of the losing of the money. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah.
Not for any other reason.
Yeah. You're gonna tend to lose out on that. So you have to think about that. All right, let's move on to the breakdown and what the value is for each of these items that's included.
Okay.
So as a reminder, we got the quick service plan. This is $57.01 for guests age 10 and up, $23.83 for ages 3 to 9. Let's talk about the value for an adult. We're going to say it's a 5-night stay.
Okay.
I'll also say Rhonda's been working her butt off for 3 days straight, as always. So yesterday on Wednesday, I sat down to go through all these notes and spend about 2-3 hours trying to break all this down and go through everything. So Ron and I just went through it all beforehand, but I might be reading off a lot of this stuff. So just bear with me. I know you guys would much rather listen to Rhonda. All right. So we're going to use a 5-night stay. That is typically about average. I talked to Chuck and Amy, said that's usually an average, nights for a family.
Okay.
So I'm going to, the resort refillable mug is technically kind of like a throw-in, a freebie,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it has value because they're $21.99 if you buy them for the duration of your trip.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that price and divided it by your 5 nights. So it has a value of $4.40 a day.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Then your snack or non-alcoholic beverage, we're going to use a Mickey bar for our example.
Okay.
We're going to average it out at $5.50.
Okay.
When we subtract both of those from the price of the adult quick service plan, it comes out to $47.11.
Mm-hmm.
You get 2 quick service meals, So that values each meal at $23.55.
Okay.
Still with me, everyone? All right, let's look at the value of a child for a 5-night stay. We've got our resort mug at $4.40 a day. We've got our snack at $5.50. When you subtract all of that from the price of $23.83, it leaves us with $13.93 for the both meals, or $6.97 per meal.
Which sounds pretty
Pretty
cheap.
dang good. All right, let's go into the Disney dining plan. As a reminder, this is $94.29 for guests 10 and up, $29.69 for the kids. Value for an adult on that 5-night stay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to subtract the value of the mug for a day, snack for a day, and we're going to subtract the value of that quick service meal that we priced at $23.55. That leaves your table service meal value at $60.84. All right, if we look at the value for a child on the Disney dining plan in that 5-night stay, let's subtract our mug, our snack. We know that one quick service meal is worth $6.97. That leaves your table service meal at $12.82.
Okay, not bad.
I will say I was doing all these notes. I was using several places as reference. Disney's site, Amy's article that she wrote for Main Street Magic Facebook community the other week. Of course, looking at some things at touring plans. When I was done, touring plans put out, is the Disney dining plan worth it? And they assigned a value to each thing the way that I did. And our numbers were within about $1 or $2. It just made me feel good about myself.
Well, good.
Because, and honestly, if you get through this episode and you're still confused, go to touring plans. Okay. They're breaking everything down the same way kind of that we are. So here's what we wanted to do. We want to take a couple examples. And we're going to take the price of the actual menu items. We're going to add all that up with what if you paid out of pocket, including the sales tax. And then we're going to compare it to that value of the dining plan and see if it's worth it. So this is based per meal. We've already taken the snack and the refillable mug out of the equation.
Okay.
So at the end of each meal, we'll break down for adult, we'll break down for a child. We'll let you know whether you're in the green or the red. So I'll start with the adult meals. We'll let Rhonda go over the child meal. If you went to Cosmic Ray's Starlight Cafe at Magic Kingdom, you got the grilled chicken sandwich with fries. I'll also say it is smart of you to look at ordering the most expensive thing.
Yes.
However, we're doing this in a more realistic manner. And not going for the most expensive thing because not everybody's going to do that based on their likings and whatever. So that's how we're going to do it. So the grilled chicken sandwich is $12.79. Fountain beverage is $4.29. We're in Magic Kingdom. You cannot get alcohol at a quick service. Total, including tax, is $22.98. So when you subtract that from the value, you're actually negative 57 cents. You're almost at a perfect break even for using a dining credit, quick service dining credit at Cosmic Ray's. What do we look like for the Cosmic Ray's child meal, Rhonda?
Well, if you get the chicken strips, which has 2 strips and 2 sides and a soda or water, it's $8.49. Total with tax is $9.04. And with all of the math Jeremy does, you actually come on top $2 plus $2.07.
Yeah. So you're making out there the good value for a child coming here. One other thing to note, and was still working on a little clarification, and I reached out to some people as well, and they weren't even sure. Most of the children's meals, especially when we get to table service, they all come with a beverage. You're not taking advantage of an additional beverage, which is supposed to be included.
Okay.
And on those pick 2 selections, there's always a dessert included. So we believe you are not allowed to pick. And again, if we get clarification, I don't know that you can order a child's meal, pick your 2 selections, and then get an additional dessert, because the dessert would be technically considered on an adult menu, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So we're breaking this down as that fully included meal, which includes sides, potentially a dessert, and your soda or water bottle, milk or juice. That's how we're going to do it. All right. Let's do a comparison with somewhere that does serve alcohol as a quick service.
Well, now I have a question. Yeah. If it's a kid and you're at a place that has a fun drink but non-alcoholic,
the specialty beverage, I believe, could be included.
Okay.
But then I think here's what I'm guessing. It would replace. So you wouldn't say, we would like, our child would like the kids' chicken tenders. On the side, they are going to get the corn and whatever the little dessert is.
Right.
They would also like it with the bottle of water that comes with it. And we're going to use our beverage credit for a specialty beverage. I think they're going to say, no, you don't get the bottle of water, is my guess.
Okay.
And again, I couldn't get clarification. I actually reached out to Scott Gustin. He went back through all of his direct from Disney, like promotional materials and press release.
Oh, wow.
And there was no real clarification on it. So,
and that kind of sucks that we don't have a kid to take.
And we could take
figure it
one.
out.
We'll borrow one. Anybody want to lend us your kid? You got to pay for them, but we'll take them. All right, so let's move over to Satali Canteen. We're going to go with the adult meal of the slow roasted sliced grilled beef bowl. Now, if you are that 10 to 20 or you do not drink and you decide you're just getting the fountain beverage, that's $4.29. But if you do want to partake in the alcohol and you're legally allowed to, you get the Hawks Grog Ale for $11. So your total without alcohol comes out to $20. So you are negative $3.55. With alcohol, you come out to $27.15. So you're actually up $3.60. So this one makes sense if you're able and willing to drink alcohol. Let's talk about the kids' meal here.
And if you get the cheeseburger steam pods with chips, cutie, or soda and water, it's $8.59, total $9.15. And again, you are saving $2.18.
Yeah. So right now, this is a good use of your credits. This is a good use of your dining plan to go to Satali Canteen.
You're up over $5.
Yeah. If you have a beer, and heck, if it's us and we both had a beer or a wine, we're up $10.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Broke down a couple quick service meals. Let's look at some table service meals.
Okay.
We're going to head back to Magic Kingdom. Talk about this a lot. Skipper Canteen for an adult meal. You're going to get the Hearty Harsh Char soup pork for $28. You get your dessert. You're going to get the Kungaloosh for $9. Non-drinkers, or what I'm going to still call kids, fountain beverage is at $4.29, but if you do alcohol and you get the Jungle Bird, that's $15.50.
And this is now the alcohol.
Yeah, these are the cocktails.
Liquor.
Yeah, I went for the cocktail instead of the beer or wine. All right, your total without alcohol is $43.97. That actually puts you in the red, $16.87. With alcohol, you're at $55.91. You're still losing $4.93 on an adult table service meal with alcohol at Skipper Canteen. Now, let's talk about the kids' meal. How does this work out for you?
Well, if you get the crispy chicken, of course, with 2 sides, a soda or water, it's $12. Your total is $12.78. You're actually, for the first time, losing 4 cents on this one.
Yeah. So kids' meal, though, kids' plan, still very much worth it.
Yeah.
I'll lose 4 cents. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to a resort somewhere we just dined recently over at Sanaa.
Yes.
And let's take a look at an adult meal there. We're going to go with what we had, which was the Pochi Inspired for $31. We're going to get the African Triple Chocolate Mousse for dessert for $9. Not drinking, can't drink, $4.29 for your fountain beverage. Or you can go with what I had, the African Star Mojito for $14.50. In the end, without alcohol, you're at $47.17. You're losing $13.67. With alcohol, you're at $58.04. You're still losing $2.80. So not a good idea for the adult either way, really.
Well, yes, but $2, like the lower amounts, like $2, it's not that bad, but I do know it does add up.
Yeah.
But again, here we go with the children. You get buttered chicken with 2 sides, soda or water, $12. Your total is $12.78. Here again, you are actually losing 4 cents again.
Yeah.
So, but
again, not a big deal
bad.
there. Overall, you're not losing a ton of money. An adult and a child, if you're having a drink, is losing $3 pretty much. So it's really not bad. And we'll interject this part now so we don't forget. A lot of people will do the math, and they're okay losing a little money.
Yes.
Because they like the simplicity of not having to budget while they're there, of not having to save. They like it being paid for. It has an all-inclusive feel.
It does. It's almost like it's free when you sit down.
And so a lot of people will do it. They'll say, yes, I know that I'm going to lose some money. I might lose $100 on the week, but I have a peace of mind that we sit down and everything's taken care of other than tip.
Right.
You know?
Or, you're walking through the parks and your kid's like, I want a snack.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, no, not right now, but then you're like, I got a credit. Here you go.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So that is something, when you're thinking about whether doing this or not. Let's move on to a buffet or a family style to see where we come out.
Alrighty.
We're going to go to my new favorite place, Beer Garden.
Which he really did.
I really did enjoy it last time.
Yeah.
I really did. An adult buffet is $49. Now, your dessert is included.
Right.
Your fountain beverage is included.
Yes.
So it takes a little value away, right? Let's just say you decide, though, you do want to get an additional Jägermeister, like Rhonda and Amy got, right?
Yes.
So without adding any extra alcohol, you come out to $52.18. So as an adult, you're losing $8.66. If you do get that Jägermeister and it's $66.56 is your total, you're still losing $5.72. Let's talk about a kid because this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, and let's talk about a kid because it is a buffet. So it's $27. Your total is $28.75. So technically you're saving $15.93. But my brain was just thinking while you were saying all this, I went to the kids side and got a bunch of stuff. What's gonna? Is a cast member?
They're going to get whatever they want.
Them,
no,
right.
you can get whatever you want.
So
they're just the kids'
point,
side is gearing towards kids' taste,
correct?
Not a kids' meal. They can eat anywhere off the buffet that they want the same day that we can.
Okay. They're
pricing it in their thought, going a 5-year-old is going to eat less than a 25-year-old, so therefore we charge them less.
Correct. So, and now my opinion. If you're going to do things like this, I would try to do with my family of 4, I would completely try to probably book all
family style and
buffet.
This is a really, so if you look at it, if Rhonda, if we'll just use Rhonda and the child that someone's going to loan to us to take to Beer Garden, right? And Rhonda gets her Jägermeister. You're like, man, she lost $5.72. That stinks. But you gain 15 on the kid, so you're still up $10.
And whoever I take, if it's a boy and he's 9,
probably gonna eat a lot.
He might go, I'm gonna eat all this sausage
He's
over
a linebacker,
here.
maybe
Exactly.
Even. So if anybody has a 9-year-old linebacker, we really want to get the value out of this thing. All right, let's move to a family style. And we're going to head over to Roundup Rodeo Barbecue for the adult.
Mm-hmm.
This is $45. Again, your dessert and your fountain beverage is included. But you want to partake in a little something extra. You're my age. You want to get the grown-ups peanut butter and jelly. It's $16.50.
Mm-hmm.
Without alcohol, you're at $47.92. You've lost $12.92.
Mm-hmm.
With the alcohol, you're at $65.50. You've lost $4.66. But now let's talk child again and see if they can make up for it.
It's $25 for the buffet for the child, and it's $26.62 with a whopping savings of $13.80. So there again, you have, that's where I would go, especially, with ages 3 to 9.
Yeah.
Because then if they're still eating the same things, and again, if you've got like boys, even some girls eat quite a bit.
Money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's so funny because when the details and pricing first came out, before I went to do all this breakdown, my mind immediately went to, you're crazy if you use this at a buffet or a family style meal.
But now, now
you're smart to use them there. And you could look at similar pricing over at a Whispering Canyon.
Yeah.
At a Garden Grill.
Mm-hmm.
Now Sebastian's Bistro, you're going to about break even because I believe they're still priced at $35 for an adult. So you're going to get about a break even point over at Sebastian's, but highly recommend Sebastian's. We need to go back there. Thought about doing it tomorrow night. I mean, we could always switch if we wanted to, but then you're a per person because we're going to Ale and Compass. Well, tonight now when you're listening to this. But anyway, so let's look at the signature dining. The shows. These are the 2 credit meals, right?
Okay.
Let's go to Narcoossee's.
Yep.
I think we like it over there.
Yes, we do.
We're going to do the seared scallops in the gnocchi, which I had. That's priced at $52. We're going to do the almond crusted cheesecake, which we got and loved, at $16. Not drinking, not old enough, $4.29 for your fountain beverage. or I can get the handcrafted by our good buddy Chris, Smoked Dark and Stormy, which is $16.50. Now, when we get into our totals, remember, you're using 2 credits.
Right.
So the value of this meal now in those 2 credits is $121.68.
Mm-hmm.
So without alcohol, you're at $76.98. You are losing $44.70. With alcohol, you're at $90. You're still losing $31.68.
Wow.
The most expensive thing on the menu, and I believe you can still order it with the 2 credits, is the steak, the filet and lobster. That comes in at, I believe, $82. So even adding $30 to all of this, you only lose $1 if you get a drink.
Yep.
So that would actually be pretty smart, but you're still losing $14 if you don't get a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's getting the most expensive thing on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
All right, why don't you break down the kids over at Narcoossee's?
So if you get the grilled flat iron steak, it's $18. It's $19.17 with tax.
And remember, their value now is doubled, so they're at $25.64. Yeah.
So you are losing $6.47.
So based on this is not a good use of your credits, of
No.
2 credits. You know, you'd be better off doing a 1 credit table service in 2 different days than saving up and doing this in 1 day.
Yep.
Let's look at a show. We're going to go over to Hoop-Dee-Doo musical review for an adult. $74 if you choose category 1, and you should go ahead and use category 1 because it's the most expensive.
Right.
Your fountain beverage and your beer and wine are included.
Correct.
So you could add value to that if you'd like. But if you decide to get a cocktail, you can get the Giddy Up for $14. So without alcohol, you're at $78.81. Minus from that double credit, you're losing $42.87.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide to Giddy Up, you're at $93.72. You're still losing $27.96. Now, let's talk about the child, though.
Yeah. It is $44 for category 1. And remember, again, their total was $25.64 value. So you are at $46.86 with a savings of $21.22.
So this is not a bad decision. You're if you go and you get an extra cocktail and you take a kid, you're out $5.
Yep.
You lose the 2 credits, but this is one that might be a little bit more worth it.
Correct.
All right, let's do a 1-day overview. Let's start with the quick service plan, right? Let's just say you dined at Cosmic Rays, dined at Satuli Canteen as an adult. You don't get the alcohol. That entire day, you're down $4.12.
Okay.
That's not bad.
No, not at all.
If you do get alcohol at both of those meals, well, technically you can't get it at Cosmic Rays.
Right.
So this would actually go up if you do Epcot or Hollywood Studios. You would actually be on top $3.03. You could even say you could be on top about $13-14 if you got an alcoholic beverage with your second meal at one of the other parks that serves it. We use Magic Kingdom, doesn't serve it. All right, let's look at the regular Disney dining plan for a day. Oh, I'm sorry. Cosmic Rays and Satuli for a child. How do you come out there, Rhonda?
$4.25.
Okay. So you actually make out pretty well in the quick service dining plan.
Yep.
All right. The Disney dining plan. We're going to use Cosmic Rays again, and we're going to use Skipper Canteen because you're in Magic Kingdom, just say for the whole day. You're doing lunch and dinner. Without alcohol as an adult, you're going to lose $17.44. With alcohol, which you can only get at Skipper Canteen, you're going to lose $8.50. So again, if you went to another park and at your quick service you did get alcohol, you're going to come out on top here a few bucks. So it just shows again that the alcohol makes it worth it. Where do you come out for Cosmic Rays and Skipper Canteen as a child?
Just $2 up.
Yeah, you make $2 basically. Yep. Okay. Let's go with one of those 2 credits though. And in one day, you're using 2 of your credits for Narcoossee's. You're doing Cosmic Rays. You're doing Narcoossee's for dinner as an adult. Without alcohol, you're down $45.27. With it, you're still down $32.25. How do you look for Cosmic Rays and Narcoossee's if you're a kiddo?
Just now minus $4.40.
Yeah. So might not be the best idea to do this combination in a day. One thing I am going to pull from touring plans, I really loved this graph that they did. Basically, they broke down every restaurant, every meal, and every beverage and said, this is how many meal options will save you money with the dining plan credit. If you get water across the board, basically, you will not save money using the dining plan.
Correct.
Now, to be determined how much you don't save, how much are you in the red, but you're not saving money.
Right.
If you get soda, pretty much zero chance of you saving money across the board. That's quick service, table service, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
If you get one of the specialty beverages, almost 0% chance of saving any money.
Mm-hmm.
If you get beer during breakfast, you got like a breakfast beer at a quick service, you have a 1% chance of saving money. Quick service, lunch, and dinner, you have a 9% chance of saving money. Table service breakfast, you have a 1%. Table service, lunch, or dinner, 3%. If you partake in wine, quick service breakfast, 1% chance of saving. Quick service, lunch, or dinner, 18% chance of saving.
Okay.
Might work out. Table service breakfast, you have a 1% chance of saving money. And table service, lunch, and dinner, 7%.
Okay.
Let's move to the cocktails. At breakfast and a quick service, you have a 20% chance of saving money.
Nice.
Lunch and dinner, quick service, you have a 47% chance of saving money.
Wow.
And I think we kind of proved that.
Yeah.
Table service breakfast, 1% chance. Table service lunch and dinner with a cocktail, only an 8% chance of saving money. Is the Disney dining plan worth it?
And that's where I think it depends on, like, do you care that it is your main goal to save money? If so, no.
Probably not worth it.
Probably not.
Great point. Probably not worth it.
You are the type that's like, we're not losing that much. I've kind of sat down, I've done the math, and the fact that I can sit down and don't feel like I have to pay for this and pay for it in advance. And with this too, it not coming out till January 9th of 2024, if you add it now, you can start paying
it
on
off.
your
Start paying your whole package off.
off. And then when you get, like, I remember doing this 10 years ago, and it was the most amazing feeling sitting down and it's all included. Everything's included. Now I believed gratuity was included last time, I feel like.
No, you've always had to tip.
You
on
always
top.
have to? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I don't remember that.
Yeah.
But then you just have to have enough money for
budget
the
your
nights.
tips out.
Yeah, for the tips of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like with anything that we talk about a lot is you have to say, you can't just say, is the Disney dining plan worth it? You have to say, is the Disney dining plan worth it for your party?
Correct.
And hopefully this breaks it down so that you can go back and kind of do the math and say, we're this family, we're that family.
Yeah.
Is the Disney dining plan probably worth it for you and I to go try out for 3 nights? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is. We would look at doing a quick service lunch and a table service 1 credit meal every night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way we've been doing things lately, though, we like to sit down and get an appetizer. Okay. You can still do that, but it's going to come out of pocket. So something to remember. If you're a family that likes to go and say, you know what? You know what our thing is? We get the bisque. Whether it's lobster, mushroom, corn, tomato, whatever, we get the bisque. Right? By the way, they took the mushroom bisque off of Le Cellier's menu and they added a corn bisque. Just remember reading that the other day. So again, something to look at. We would have to then budget and go, all right, well, we like 2 cocktails at a meal.
Right.
Okay, we'll make sure you budget that in. We have very different tastes in dessert.
Mm-hmm.
So you might, have to budget in some extra money there, or you guys can pick each of your desserts and just not share them, or you just got to look at different things and what works right for your family and what doesn't. But I know that the all-inclusivity feel of it works for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So do the math.
Yep.
Listen to this podcast again if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Hit us up if you need to.
Yeah.
Hit up mainstmagictravel.com if you need to. Check out touring plans.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely give them some love of what they've done and broke down is incredible.
Yep.
They even have on their main dining plan breakdown page now, you can go type in any item, hit a go button. It'll tell you where it is on property and how much it costs.
Wow.
So you could go, all right, well, steak. It'll show you all the steaks and what their prices are. So then you could game plan and kind of say, all right, I like steak. I like scallops. This is probably going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Right? You just eat burgers and salads, might not be the thing for you.
Right.
So it is all dependent on that. But I really hope this episode helped. I hope the numbers didn't hurt anyone's brain. They hurt mine. I hope that they were all correct. I did have to keep going back and looking at adjustments and second guessing my math. But had my trusty phone calculator, so hopefully it all worked out. Again, get that free quote, mainstmagictravel.com. Go ahead and book starting January 9th, 2024. Those trips can start to include the dining plan. Also, right before this recording, we got fall deals. There are Disney Plus subscriber deals. There are annual pass holder deals.
Yes.
There are Florida resident deals. There are regular deals, all for the fall. So if you want to get out there, highly suggest you get out there for the Halloween season, the Christmas season. These are available for most dates. So you can get a quote on all of that if you would like. Of course, if you hit subscribe, you get these brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And we would be super duper thankful if you could please leave us a rating and review.
Because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.